Hey guys, this is Sharad with ReSimpli. I'm so excited to be bringing Casey Gregersen on this call to share his ReSimpli experience with us. Casey, welcome to the call. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for jumping on the call. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are joining in from, what kind of investing do you do, and how long have you been investing for?
So I started in 2010, so 14 years ago. I bought my first house. I was actually in school in Wyoming, so I went to the University of Wyoming. Was studying to be I was in petroleum engineering and bought my first house in Laramie. My dad actually co-signed with me and got that first house. So really, it was a house hack. I didn't know about house hacking at the time, but that's pretty much what it was. And then,
Right.
yeah, then I took a job in Houston out of college. I grew up in Wyoming, but took a job in Houston for Shell. And I worked for Shell for about 12 years in oil and gas. And I had the luxury of working a field job where I'd go to the field for 2 weeks and then I'd have 2 weeks off. And that allowed me during those 2 weeks off, I took a pause not a pause. I just kept that first rental, didn't buy another one until 2015. But that's when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and kind of got into bigger pockets and went down a whole rabbit hole of real estate books. And that's what allowed me to go buy the second one and the third one. And then from there, I just started buying while I was having time to go the first ones were me basically house hacking and doing the work myself,
Right.
fixing and flipping, moving into rentals. Yeah. And then over years, have been able to grow and scale it and just loved running my own business. And now we built out a property management company in-house. We built out a construction company because that was our most recent one just because it was so hard
Right.
one of our challenges was contractors. And then the other big one was going direct to seller was because I think that was probably 2018 is when we finally up until then we were buying right on the market and could find deals, but we realized the way the market was going, we had to go direct to seller. So we invested in that. And yeah, that's kind of the
Right.
third part of our company now.
Right. And is Wyoming the only market that you invest in?
Yes. Yep. So we are Wyoming and Montana, and I actually
Okay.
did I had a small portfolio in Dallas Fort Worth, but we actually sold that and reinvested in Wyoming. We really liked the cash flow and appreciation we're
Okay.
getting.
And what's your primary exit strategy?
Yes. So I try to be very diverse on ours, but I would say that our bread and butter is definitely finding the deal, fixing it up and holding it because we got all three of those verticals in house. But we wholesale, I would say we wholesale probably 20 to 30% of our deals. We keep some for fix and flip, we'll wholesale. But the other big piece I didn't mention is we do a ton of creative finance deals just
Okay.
because of what's happened in the market. That's been
Nice.
another great strategy for us.
Cool. And do you mind sharing how many deals are you doing per month or per year?
Yeah, I was even just looking at like the last 3 months because I was doing a presentation for creative finance, and it was like it's crazy. It was 25 out of our last 26 deals in the last 3 months to give you an idea of volume. We're create some form of creative finance, so we're almost like 90% or we're doing some form of creative finance. Our goal is to do as a company, like company wide, from our fix and flip to our wholesales to our rentals, to do 2 million in net profit this year. So that's
Okay.
our
That's
big goal.
awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, I'm very impressed that you focus on the net profit number. Generally, people tend to focus on how many deals they want to do or the top line revenue, but I love that you focus on the net profit number. That's awesome. How long have you been using ReSimpli for?
We started REsimpli. We're probably going on three to 4 years now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, you've been with us for about 3 to 4 years. How did you manage your real estate business before you started using ReSimpli?
Way back, yeah, it was Google spreadsheets for a while.
Right.
Then it transitioned and I was working with like a marketing guy who was kind of a partner wanting to help out. And we were using tryingoutmonday.com. Then we went to like out of the box REI Black Book, which was
Right.
that was kind of my first kind of like real estate solution. And then, but that still wasn't quite giving us what we needed. And that's when we jumped into ReSimpli about, yeah, like I said, over 3.5 years ago. And
Cool.
we've been there ever since because it's been a great tool.
Awesome, man. So before you switch to ReSimpli, were there any specific challenges or pain point that you were looking to solve that made you look for ReSimpli?
One of the big ones was just having a pipeline of like all our different deals and be able to see them like vertically in columns and be able to
Right.
basically work leads to the pipeline. Like REI Black Book was good at having a good CRM and all our contacts, but also it was like having all communication in one place and the drip campaigns. And yeah, those were kind of some of the main features that like we couldn't stay organized yeah, it was just becoming a challenge. And yeah, I think the biggest one is probably just the drip campaigns, being able to set up those and being able to manage them and really manage our follow-ups.
Are there any specific features or software that ReSimpli has replaced for you since you started using ReSimpli?
That's always been one too. We've gone back and forth because we separate some of our dispo in
Right.
my like investing, but I think it was the drip campaigns because we were trying to figure out, hey, how do we continue to follow up with our
Yeah.
leads, the ones that aren't ready? So setting up the email and the text campaigns. Another one we've been able to cut out is the ringless voicemails. And even too, I think when I had REI Black Book, I was still using like a call rail feature to where we were paying for numbers and tracking it all, but it's been nice to have it inside.
Yeah.
And then starting to track KPIs. Now we're starting to track our KPIs and not having to figure out some Google sheet to do it. We can track it within ReSimpli.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I know answer to this, but what would you say your favorite feature within ReSimpli is and why?
I think it's really been the dashboard, right? Of all to where the pipeline, right? I could see it's worked really good for my team because I've got really multiple levels of like my kind of assistant lead manager, or he's kind of like my lead texter that manages like a lot of my sort of outbound flow
Right.
deals. And then I've got like my lead manager, like my lead manager, who
Right.
she's got her couple of columns. But again, my far left columns are my front end guy. Then it goes over to Judith, who's kind of my middle person. And then I'm able to manage the ones that are in under contract or make offer, right? But I
Right.
love the functionality there to where like we can pick our own pipelines and our own lanes that we can stay in, and which helps us stay organized.
Absolutely, man. Would you say that ReSimpli has helped you close more deals?
Yeah, absolutely. It's allowed us to scale. I mean, we could only do so many deals and it was hard to stay organized as a team, but now this has allowed us to scale up and go for it to where we're, like I said, we've got some pretty lofty goals this year, and I could really crank up our marketing and stay. This is what I would say is there's a lot of people, especially with creative finance. Like I talk to Pace Morby about this all the time, Rob Abasolo, like people who are trying to like go direct to seller and do creative finance. Like that is one of the best ways to buy real estate, but you get turned down a ton. Like it's a lot. You got to go through a lot of leads and a lot of people to get a creative finance deal.
Right.
But if you do so much volume and you pitch it all the time, like those deals start to pop up. And I've just pitched it over and over for years now that they pop up. But the reason I bring that up is if I didn't have a CRM to where I could keep track of all these leads and have my lead manager helping me sort through all these, I wouldn't be able to. I've got to, I mean, you maybe put it like this. You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find that princess creative finance deal that's a home run. But when you find them, man, makes it all worth it.
I know. We just got a property under contract this week that we had been following up every month for a year now. And then the seller came back, agreed to sign the contract for less than what we had originally offered. So
that's a good point, Sherrod. We're just now seeing that. And I think you don't see that early on, but now that we've been in ReSimpli, it's funny. I've been seeing that multiple times lately where like this lead comes back and I get an appointment booked and I looked at, we talked to this lead 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were working this deal and now here it comes back around and I've got the notes and I could pick up and I know exactly what I offered. And that's another great feature is the notes and how you can pin them. We try to start organize and pin obviously the most important ones that are going to be relevant. And that's exactly just the other feature. Yeah. You know what? I'll say this too, Sherrod. It's been really helpful for me, like running the company and being the CEO, but I still sit in my acquisition seat, which when you're just kind of looking at what's most important, like closing deals to me is the most important part of the company. So I've kind of stayed in that seat, but I've got to wear a bunch of other hats. But because of ReSimpli and like I'm talking about the organization, like my lead manager is able to do a lot for me to where like she can really give me qualified leads that I only talk to. And then we're really good at using ReSimpli and staying organized to where once I talk to that lead, I hand it back off to my lead manager to kind of work it through the process to get a contract done. But you just got to be talking to a lot of different people, and it just allows me to have more of my time back. Like I can get my calls back done quickly through ReSimpli. My lead manager can go get the notes and we can keep track of stuff. It just allows us to process a lot of leads and really maximize my time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you've been using ReSimpli for about 3-4 years. Do you remember how many deals were you doing before you started using ReSimpli versus how many are you doing now?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably been 5 years ago now, but I remember, I'll never forget this. It was like in the summertime and I hired a couple interns and we were just trying to call like properties that were listed for rent and they were run down. And I was trying to find deals that way. And I just remember being so excited, like one day that they found a old property manager who was willing to sell. And like, but those leads were few and far between. So we were doing like that summer, I think we found 2 deals throughout 3 months. And we weren't doing a ton of marketing then, right? But we were trying to do some sort of like grassroots guerrilla marketing. But yeah, now that we have a CRM and a team and a system, which like, yeah, I mean, my goal now is to talk. Yeah, this will put in perspective. Back then I was so excited to talk to maybe 1 to 2 leads, and like maybe one a week would have been great. If I talked to a
Right.
motivated person once a week, I'd have been stoked. Right now, my goal is we're doing between 15 to 30 motivated people every week. And
Wow.
that's been
Yeah.
a huge game changer. And it just, like I said, the more conversations you have with these people, the better deals you're going to turn up, and it becomes a numbers game.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything particular about REsimpli you think sets it apart from other real estate software in the market?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, which I really haven't talked about yet, is like in just talking to other investors, is you can go into Podio and these other platforms, and they can do all this. It's like you could completely tailor it and fix it. But I just heard stories of like these guys spending thousands and thousands of dollars
Yeah.
with developers and people to try to get this to where they want, and they were still frustrated. Right. So I think the biggest feature has been it's out of the box. You can just start
Yeah.
it and you can get up to speed pretty quick. I mean, the thing you trade off is you're not going to be able to completely customize it, but at the same
Right.
time, I think there's enough customization to make it work, and it's just going to be affordable, right? Like I don't think a lot of people want to go out and invest 20, 30, 40,000 to go build out their software versus just being able to pay a monthly fee
Absolutely.
makes it a lot easier to get your business off the ground.
Yeah, when we have people switching from like Salesforce or Podio, that's the number one thing we hear is that it's like an endless cycle for them. They end up focusing more on the development side than rather on their core business of growing sales. And they end up like having this development team which isn't their core business. So I totally understand that. Cool, man. Final question. What would you say to someone who is considering REsimpli for their real estate investing business?
Yeah, I would say definitely consider what are your goals? Like how many deals are you trying to close? I mean, if you're wanting to close one deal in the next year, maybe you're not quite ready, but when you're ready to start to close multiple deals, like you just at some point you're going to break over a threshold. And it's really if you're doing marketing, right? If you're doing postcards, texting, whatever it might be, cold calling, PPC, whatever marketing channel, like you've got to have a way to organize it. And to me, it's just like, and I think REsimpli does a good job of having multiple like you don't have to do that. Like we do enough volume to where we're doing the top price, right? And maximum features, right? But I think looking at starting with the lower feature is what I would recommend it because you got to have something to stay organized. And especially if you're going to commit to this, right? If you're somebody who wants to commit and you're like, hey, I want to start finding deals, or I want to be able to source my own deals and I want to stay organized, then you got to go find something organized. And that's why I would go with, and it's just like I said, you could go pay thousands and thousands of dollars to develop something, or you could just go use something that's out of the box. That's not going to take you a ton of time. It's intuitive. So you're going to be able to, I mean, assuming you've been doing some sort of organization of your leads, like there was really no learning curve for us. We got up to speed very quickly. And even training our team, like when I bring on new team members, that we've been able to get them up to speed pretty quick.
Absolutely. Thank you, Casey. Hey, if someone listening to this wants to get in touch with you, learn a little bit more about you, what's the best way for them to do that?
You bet. Whatever social media platform you guys like to use, we do a ton. Biggest thing I would send you guys to our YouTube channel. If you just type in my name, Casey Gregersen, into YouTube. Same thing with Instagram. Yeah. And then I'll share our website too. We're actually, we're just launching our fund where we're bringing in limited partners, both on the debt side on some of our bigger multifamily deals. And also we'll have some equity limited partner type structures to where people are looking to get depreciation or whatever type of investing benefits they're looking at. We're always looking for partners.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey. I appreciate your time, man.
You bet. Thanks, Rod.
Thanks.